Hi, I am Allie Camilletti, and you are listening to Snack Leadership. I will be talking about everything leadership, broken down into bite-sized pieces. You will hear what different leadership skills look like in organizations and how they can rise teams up or take them down. I help leaders build resilience and improve performance by bringing awareness to opportunity behaviors in my business. Spark your mindset. I provide leadership and sales coaching, as well as team building and guest speaking. My hope is for you to feel inspiration and to create a spark in your mindset. Hi everyone. Today we are talking about financial freedom. Financial freedom means being in control of your finances and your life choices. I'm going to start off taking you down my financial journey. So right out of college, I ended up working in the restaurant industry in San Francisco. Now, I will say, right out of college, I came out with probably $50,000 in debt, right? I think it might be the average of what happens when people graduate from college and they're not completely funded. And I did actually have a lot of funds in the sense of my grandmother paid for everything when it came to I'd say my tuition and my books, but I was living on my own and I did not have living expenses paid for. And no one really taught me about finances at all. The advice I was given was, one day, Allie, you're going to get an inheritance from your grandmother. And when you spend it, it's all gone. There's a little fear for you. So that probably set the tone in my journey of what I went through financially. So out of college, I had that in my mind. I'm going to get an inheritance. I'm not going to save my money. It'll all be paid for eventually. Well, it goes quick. And at that age, I was probably 24, you're not thinking about saving money. You're thinking about, I get an extra $500 a paycheck. I'm going to go play. So then after college, I ended up starting my own business. I was probably 28 at the time, still had a lot of debt. But I thought, I have about $15,000. I'm going to start a business. I had a partner. It was a retail front with an event planning company backing. And the event planning is where all the money came in. It was not from the retail. I had a very different vision from what actually happened because I literally opened my retail doors when 9/11 happened. It shifted the view of my business and the direction I went in order to make income. I would say probably 2 years into that business, I ended up having some serious health issues. I call it the crazy tumor wrapped around my liver. We removed 65% of my liver with it. And I had my business at the time and I told no one because I needed every penny that I was making from this business to pay for the surgery. I always think I can always do it. Well, probably about a year into it, as far as watching the tumor, then the removal, I had to claim bankruptcy. I couldn't do it. I couldn't pay all of those medical bills and have that debt. They say every entrepreneur usually claims bankruptcy at least once because it's a thing. So, and now it's kind of funny when people talk about it, I almost forget sometimes because granted, it's been about 20 years, but still, it's not something that I let define me or shamed myself about. It's just where I was at the time. And so literally a year after claiming bankruptcy and all of that, I went through a 2-year process of the entire side of my bio father's family passing. And that led to my actual inheritance that I received. Now, at the time, I had bought a home for my grandma and I to live in to take care of her. And then when everyone passed, I wanted to buy a home for me. And that's the home I still live in now. I just had my 18-year anniversary and I love my home. I really do. So what ended up happening with that other home is I rented it out for a while. If I would have sold it a year before, literally, the market crashing in 2008, 2009, I would have made 100,000. Instead, I short sold and lost 40,000. Ugh, right? Brutal. Obviously, that still gets to me a little bit, but it's part of my story. And if I were to do a map of my finances through my life already, it's been like this, right? It is not up and to the right. And coming out of college, I'm like, I'm going to make a ton of money. I'm going to be set. Then I'll get an inheritance. I'm going to be fine. I had no idea that I was going to go on this journey. So I have poured a lot of my inheritance into the home I live into today. I built another location, which I used for my office originally. And then I expanded in the home so it was a little more livable, and really just have invested in this home. Now, the great thing about this home is it is my biggest investment, absolutely. And it allowed me to have the finances to adopt my daughter. So that is the beauty of it. After adopting my daughter and really wanting to get a better understanding of finances and how I was going to make all this work financially, my good friend, Alma Lukdu, showed me compounding and amortization tables, and those have been my financial freedom. I love them. So, if you don't know, amortization table is basically how much money you pay in principal and interest over time. So, in my crazy spreadsheet that I have that has my budget of every year for, I think I have 12 years in it now. And then I have different tabs for how much I am putting away for my daughter's college funding, as well as any type of debts that I have. And then the compounding part is how I'm going to retire and what that's going to look like. What I need to do in order to pay off my house so I don't have a mortgage, and then my savings, where that needs to get to be so that I have enough interest to pull it to be able to retire. Now, as I was working through that, it was like, okay, how am I going to work through the adoption chunk that we had taken in financially? And then that basically ended up coming out of the house. What I ended up doing was having a plan. Then my plan went sideways because now I have a 5-year divorce payment. Again, whoop. And now all I can see is I'm going to be on my way up. I do believe the divorce payment was a major learning lesson for me in finances of don't squeeze so tight onto money, Allie. It comes, it goes. It does not define you. It does not define your happiness. And I don't care who you are. I would say the majority of people have what I would say money challenges, right? It's a mindset. So it's taken me a while to get to this place of feeling financial freedom and then being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs really struggle with the financial part. I hear it with many of my friends who are entrepreneurs. So I'm going to share with you this great article, and it's from Forbes. It's called How Entrepreneurs Can Safeguard Their Financial Futures and Work Toward Financial Freedom. Now, I'll have the link in the show notes, but I love the simple things they talk about. And they talk about how, the struggling entrepreneur, right? We're kind of like the struggling artist. It's a thing. It's a phrase that you've heard or seen on media. Well, it reflects the reality of entrepreneurs facing various challenges, a significant challenge being finances. Let's take COVID let's take COVID as an example. When COVID hit and the way my business was, I did not have business for a year and a half, almost 2 years. And that is where I was able to lean into, you know what, Allie, you got to trust blindly right now. And I was so grateful that I was able to get unemployment. That saved me. But it was my mindset during the time of, this doesn't mean that you need to stop your business. Here we are now in 2023, and my business is flourishing. But it's also the mindset. So they talk about this report by SCORE, a United States-based organization focused on helping entrepreneurs succeed. They surveyed 1,000 U.S. startup owners. And what they found is that 42% of entrepreneurs are bootstrapping, starting out with less than $5,000 in cash reserves. 49% began operations with more than $10,000 in the bank, and nearly a quarter had more than $50,000. So the study basically found that 78% of startups did not seek much less or obtain outside financing, instead relying on personal savings or income from another job. I will say I have been in different entrepreneurial groups, and one of the things I have seen is I see new entrepreneurs come in, they like, well, I need to make 100,000 the first year. And I about choke, because I don't care what business you're starting up, it takes 3 years. That's the norm. It takes 3 years. And I watched my business, because I love going back and looking at it, and it took 3 years. Now, I always had a job on the side. My first business, I bartended in the evenings. The second business, I was teaching online for Lake Cordon Bleu, but then when I couldn't teach anymore, because that's another story, I basically ended up working, I called it my fun job, where I worked at a tasting room for a new flourishing hard cider company that started in our community that I still adore and love watching their success as they have grown. But I have always had a job, so I didn't feel that stress, because many entrepreneurs like to be led by purpose, right? And I am led by purpose, but it's essential to have a purpose. But the trap many entrepreneurs fall into is that they're high on purpose and low on profits. So let's talk about some steps. One is create a financial statement and set financial goals. I have financial goals. I look at my year before the year starts, and I literally outline each month what I want to bring in. I believe in manifestation. I believe in vision boards, and that's my focus. I don't get hung up on if it didn't happen that month. I move it to the next month, and it usually happens. And right now, I'm pacing right on target for what I had outlined and what I wanted to bring in this year, because I do have some debt that I need to pay off and I need to pay attention to. So in the same way that a company vision statement conveys your hopes about where you want your business to head, a financial vision statement is important. It conveys your hopes about where you want to go for your financial life, giving you sometimes something to aspire to. So in that spreadsheet, I know what I want to bring in each year, how much I'm paying down my mortgage and my other debts, and when I want to retire. Right now, which I say that with a right now, because we've seen you can never tell what's going to happen. Who knows? I'm going to knock on wood, because we don't want anything negative to happen. But we saw, I couldn't have predicted the crazy tumor and all of that medical stress. Heck no. Would I have ever known that? It took me out of being able to produce money, and then it brought on a ton of debt for me in creating bankruptcy. You never know what's going to happen, but I choose not to live by fear and focus on what I want to happen. And so I have a goal of 62 years old, I want to retire. And at that point, my daughter will be, about 16 or 17, and I want to be able to take her and travel with her and show her wonderful things. So sit down and think about what financial security looks like to you, and then write a vision statement centered on that. I know in that spreadsheet what I want to be able to bring in a year. I'm not someone who likes a lot of things. I will never be the person that is driving a brand new car. I say that, knock on wood, but that's just not how I roll. I think it's silly, really. They lose their value as soon as you drive off the lot. It just doesn't make sense to me. But I want to travel. Travel is top for me because I love travel. 2, think about different pathways to creating wealth. This is a big one, right? Okay, so you've written your statement. Now you're thinking of the different pathways of how you can bring in additional wealth. Well, for me, I've already thought about these. For me, it looks like I'm going to start doing paid speaking. That's my 3-year plan right now. In that 3-year plan is that I am going to write a book. And that may come out before the public speaking or not. I'm not trying to control it, but let it lead me and know that that's the next step in my career. So when they talk about like 3 different areas to look at when you are looking at growing, knowing your brand as a leader. As an entrepreneur, you've learned many lessons throughout your journey that can greatly benefit others. So tap into that. Explore paid speaking, non-executive board appointments, teaching and coaching opportunities. That's already my business, right? I educate, I coach, so I'm pretty set there. Now, more and more, I'm doing more culture assessments for companies that lead to then on-site team building and then coaching that continues. The next is your business brand. So the brand is an asset. See if you can extend your brand via new licensing agreements, franchising opportunities, collaborations, partnerships. I look at Tigers. So Tigers is a brand. Diane Crampton, who I became certified through and I admire and respect so much, she has then created something that she can sell, right? She's been able to do licensing, and she has all different ways of being able to do this for her business. Super smart. Then your core business. Sometimes entrepreneurs under-optimize their core income streams. So whenever new business opportunities or business renewal opportunities come your way, ask for more money. You'd be surprised at how much more you can make with just one contract tweak. So, of course, these aren't the only 3 avenues that they talk about for generating additional income. Another one is an actual education platform, right? Where I can do, whether it's sales or leadership, I can build a platform that I then have members with. And that can be an income stream that doesn't take me out of my daily work per se, but then will start to generate revenue over time. That's a no-brainer. We'll see. That's a big undertaking personally, and having built different types of systems before, I'm not too crazy about it, but I know, and people tell me all the time, that's a great way to generate money. I get that. The third is pursue a mix of the right short-term and long-term opportunities. So I know that my short-term opportunity is what I do now. My long-term opportunity is I do think about my home. My home is an investment and it is something that generates income for me. And so how I can eventually rent it out and live in a different home, we'll see. But while the most successful entrepreneurs have long-term approaches to building wealth, they got to think about short-term opportunities, right? Long-term opportunities are valuable, but can be slow to come to fruition. By adding the right short-term opportunities in the mix, you can maintain a robust cash flow in the interim. Even though it's essential to strike a balance between short-term and long-term opportunities, that doesn't mean you should pursue every opportunity that comes your way. Absolutely. Instead, adopt a high-value mindset where you identify and focus on your top-tier opportunities. Knowing the value of your time, expertise, and energy. Know when to say no. By saying no to the wrong opportunities, you leave more room in your life to tackle the right ones. And I will say there's been times when I have let clients go. That feels risky, but I know the minute I let a client go that isn't the right fit anymore, or maybe it's just done its time, it opens the door to a client that is the right fit. Every time it happens for me. So number 4, view your business as an investment, not a job, and develop a wealth mindset. It's all about the mindset. So mentality matters. According to Peter Cohen, who runs a management consulting and venture capital firm, managing your company as an investment means doing things that boost its odds of growth while steering clear of risks that could shut it down, right? On the flip side, I've seen that when entrepreneurs treat their businesses like jobs, they're more likely to become too rigid in their ways, too afraid to think creatively, and too scared to ask for more. Absolutely. So it's vital that you develop a wealth mindset. It's less about taking a chunk and trying to multiply it, and it's more of an approach, a philosophy. If you're trying to take a chunk of money and get rich quick, If that's your mindset, you're going to do everything wrong, according to Brad Klontz. And I agree with this. I was talking with somebody recently, and they were kind of talking to me about what they wanted to do and where they were at. And I kind of heard an interesting tone, and I said, "Are you doing it for the money, or are you doing it for the passion?" And they had to stop, because I believe when you do it for the passion, the money will come. But if you are all money focused and you are forcing it, I don't think it comes. So they close with that chances are that you didn't become an entrepreneur because you wanted to make money fast and call it a day. You're in it for the higher purpose. Absolutely. And with the right practices and attitudes about money, you'll put yourself in the best position possible to live up that higher purpose and be financially free while doing so. So I leave with you a quote by Suze Orman. A big part of financial freedom is having your heart and mind free from worrying about the what-ifs of life. Thank you for tuning in to Snack Leadership. I hope you felt inspiration, motivation, and felt your mindset spark. Snack Leadership is recorded and produced by myself, Ali Camilletti, and music by Shireen Amini.